So it says that we're live on the top corner. So let me just refresh the page. I'm on the Facebook group, so I'll see. There we are. Are we live? Are we live? Probably am live. So people are probably just there we go. We are live. Okay, let me just turn my sound off. Okay, so as I said, Lorraine, I'm gonna intro this, and then I'll start with the first question. So just give me a couple of minutes to natter on. So if you are watching from home, throw me a hashtag live in the comments below. So tonight is it Monday the 12th? I'm a bit all over the place after the game yesterday. Hopefully I don't look too worse for wear. So yeah, it's Monday the 12th today, Monday the 12th of July, the day after the Euros final. So if you're watching live, throw me a hashtag live. If you're watching on replay, so after the 12th of July throughout the week, throw me a hashtag replay. So if you are watching on replay, do get involved. Still ask questions, because the more that you get involved, the more you kind of engage in these lives every week, the more you're going to get out of them. If you're new to the group, throw me a hashtag newbie in the comments as well, so I can see how many newbies are tuning into this. And just so you're aware, if you're new to the group, whether you're watching this live, replay, whatever, I go live every single Monday at 8 p.m. and we get a real mix. So there's like Q&As with me. You can ask me about a particular topic. Tonight is a client success story. So I've got the awesome Lorraine. So Lorraine, you've been with us, is it 7 or 8 months now?
Slightly longer, yeah. It was the end of October, beginning of November, wasn't it? So
yeah. So about 7-8 months. So been with Lorraine a while now. So we're going to talk about her journey today, and she's awesome. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her in a minute. I can see that there's a few people watching as well. I won't tell you who's commented already, Lorraine.
I can imagine.
So tonight on this kind of live with client success story with Lorraine, you're going to be able to ask her questions. So if you have any questions that come up during the live about anything she's talking about, I'm talking about, or you just want to find out a bit more about what she's done, how it's worked for her, feel free to just drop them in the comments as we go along. And as I said, we'll go live every single Monday at 8 p.m. And we cover all kinds of things, trying to give as much value as possible to you ladies in the community. And who knows, some of you will end up probably working with us and getting results like Lorraine. But who knows? So Lorraine, as you probably noticed, she's actually become one of our moderators. So she moderates the group. So she's really, really embedded into the art community. She's genuinely awesome, such a positive woman. I know Katie, who's her coach, has loved working with her. And I'm really, really excited tonight to share her story, how things have gone for her over the last 7-8 months. And as I said, if you have questions, please feel free to just ask away. I'll just let you know, Lorraine. So we've had a hi from Katie, so she's watching. Heidi's saying, go Lorraine. We've got Janet, who's a member. She's saying hi. Caroline is a member, who's watching as well. Jackie's a member, so we've got loads of members watching, and Heidi's saying Lorraine is amazing. So if you're excited for tonight, press the like button, press the love heart button. So where we're going to start, Lorraine, is probably the best thing to kind of tell people is where were you at before you worked with us? So how were you feeling? What were the kind of challenges you were facing? What was the situation before you started working with ARC?
Oh, cool. Well, cast your minds back, but before coronavirus, beginning of last year, January, I went to bed one night, slept, went to get out of bed in the morning and literally couldn't move. I had injured my back. Don't quite ask me how. I'd like to give you some superb story about, acrobatics and things like that in the bedroom, but it was nothing. I promise you, it was nothing. I literally went to bed, woke up and couldn't move. So I then promptly spent 6 weeks flat on my back with my partner helping me to the toilet, to put my underwear on, to get in the shower, which didn't help with the big frame I was in either. So obviously I came out of that, just started to go back to work, and we went into lockdown. So you can imagine my mental state was not in a good place, really. I'd sort of spent all of that time at home by myself, and then we went into lockdown at home by myself. As you see me now, this is was my dining room. It's now my work office. So so my mental state was quite harsh, really. I was quite harsh on myself, and being at home all day, bored, working, partner was at work all day. What do? You eat, don't you? So I kind of added to the bulk on my frame quite a lot in that time. So I was quite low, very negative, really. And she's going to get her shout out a lot sooner than she thought. I went to lunch with my friend Heidi, and let's just say our lunches are usually a lot more liquid than a lot more food. And she was already a member at that point. I think that was maybe, that must have been after our birthdays. So that must have been, sort of August, September time, possibly. And she told me that she'd already signed up with you guys and said it was working and how good it was. And I'll be honest, I trust Heidi implicitly, but having been someone who's tried every single diet, I think there's probably one from A to Z that I've tried, actually, if I'm honest. I don't think there's many out there that I'd not tried. So I was kind of a little bit, all right, whatever. But let's be honest, as you do when the alcohol flows, we both got a bit upset and a bit maudlin. And, she kind of said to me, I want you in my life forever. And it kind of just drummed home that actually living like this is not good. And it's, at that point, other than the bad back, I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have any health concerns, but I think I remember saying this to you, Adam. I think that was more by luck than judgment, to be honest. It wasn't because I was actively looking to change that. I had just been incredibly lucky up until that point. And my back, I think, was the first sign that I needed to change. So Heidi sort of introduced me to you, and sort of was it a 5-day challenge, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a 5-day challenge, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I was very skeptical, which I'm sure a lot of our new members are. It's like, we've already tried everything. I tried Slimming World and had some good results, but couldn't maintain it. I'd tried Weight Watchers and had some good results, but couldn't maintain it. For me, losing the weight wasn't the hard bit. It was the where do you get when you get to the end, really. The maintaining it, the consistency was the bit I struggled with. And so I did the 5-day challenge, and well, I wouldn't say I disbelieved you, because I didn't disbelieve you, because you're very knowledgeable, and the way you chat, it's it just flows off the tongue, and I appreciate that, because I'm knowledgeable at what I do, and I like to think that when I talk, I like to think it just flows off the tongue as well. So it was, but I kind of thought, I don't see how I can lose weight doing this. And 5 days later, I think I was 3 or 4 pounds down, wasn't I? So it was like, oh, okay, maybe this does work then. And that was enough to hook me in, really. So, and that's just where the change started, wasn't it? So
I love it. Just so people, if anyone's watching at home, I'd love to know in the comments below if you share a similar kind of story to Lorraine, because I'll be honest, a lot of women I speak to, Lorraine, exactly what you just said, like working from home, not in a great place mentally, tried every diet under the sun. I've lost count of how many people I speak to, and they're like, oh yeah, but how does it work? I'm really skeptical because they've tried everything and everything's failed. Knowing what you know now, why do you think that those other approaches, so you lost weight but never maintain the weight loss? So why do you think that? Because technically, like, they worked in that you lost weight, but they didn't work because you weren't able to keep the weight off. Why do you know what you know now? Why do you think that is? Why do you think those other approaches didn't work?
I think I was thinking about this earlier, and I think I've narrowed it down to 2 things. One is your program is not a generic program. It's not the same for everybody, because our needs are not the same. You take time to talk to us, to get to know what kind of point we're at that point, and you direct us to one of the coaches that will help serve the needs that we have at the time. And as you've said in so many lives before, none of us are on the same program. We're all doing different things, aren't we? Because it is built around us as a person. It isn't one size fits all. And if you go to a Slimming World, it is not personal. It is one size fits all, isn't it? Which for some people is fantastic, but for me that didn't work. I couldn't maintain. That's fine. I could cut chocolate out for a period of time, but I can't maintain that forever. And if you can, hats off to you. But I really don't think that's sustainable for anybody. It might not be chocolate, it might be wine, or it might be bread, or it might be whatever. But you're having to cut things out of your diet and to try and do normal things like going out to eat and all of those things is really difficult when you're trying to restrict certain things. And I think the other thing is, I don't want to get airy fairy, but your program is a holistic approach to everything. It's not just about what you eat, it's why you eat, when you eat it, why are you eating? For me, a lot of the time I wasn't eating because I was hungry. I was eating because I was bored, I was emotional, I was trying to suppress feelings and emotions and change all of that. And you can go to any sort of diet club out there and they don't address that at all. Having one person who takes the time to get to know you and you talk through those things and you get specific advice on those and you watch your lives. I've learned so much about myself listening to you talk, and Chloe as well, I have to say. Her lives are just incredible. And I realise now, listening to Chloe, I did have disordered eating before, which very much was brought on by Slimming World. And this isn't a bash at Slimming World in any way, shape or form. I'm talking about my personal experience, and for me, very much. And Chloe made me recognise that actually was a thing. I just thought what I did was kind of normal, but actually, I suppose deep down I knew it wasn't. But actually, you don't analyse your own eating habits in that way, I think, until someone starts to talk about it. And I have Katie on my shoulder who's constantly, have you done this, are you going to do that, come on, let's do this, just half a dozen more steps, just make sure, one more bottle of water, let's do this, let's do that, and just encouraging me along and coping, which I didn't describe very well the other day when I talked about because I initially had quite a few meltdowns about lots of things. I can remember messaging Katie in a huge flap because Chris came home early and announced we were going out for dinner, and it was like, I haven't prepared for that, I can't do that, what am I going to eat, what am I going to do? And it was just this huge garbled message to Katie. And of course, by the time she read it, I'd been out for dinner, I'd come home and I'd calmed and I was fine. But you wouldn't get that anywhere else, because nothing else is bespoke, and it doesn't actually deal with all those other factors as well. So I think, those two things really.
I actually I was talking about this with the coaches the other day, and I actually think it can be a bit of a curse, because a lot of the women in the group, a lot of the women I speak to will be like, well, how do you do it? And it's not possible for me to say, well, you do this, then you do this, then you do this, because that's not how life is. No. I could probably say, okay, well, here's the first thing we might look at, but then I can't predict what's going to happen. I don't know what barriers there are in someone's life, and I find it's really, really hard. So if anyone is watching this and they've I've had a call with me in the past, or they're planning on having a call with me, there is no set formula. There isn't, you do this, then you do this, then you do this, which is what I think a lot of the diets will kind of tell you. There is this one set approach, you need this perfect plan for your body shape, this perfect, but that's not how life is. So it's, from our perspective, because of being professionals, we can go, right, okay, let's look at the whole person, let's look at everything. And actually for this person, I think we're going to look at this thing first, then see what happens. And then the next thing, it's so hard for me to be able to explain. And this is why I know I've had people.
I was going to say, having been through it, it's really hard to explain as well. I've watched you on the lives and seen the questions that people are asking, and I sit there and I think, oh God, they're just not getting it. They just need to do it, and then they would understand. And it is so hard to explain. It really is, but because it is so individual.
Really annoyed women that watch, some people in the group get really annoyed because they watch this and they're like, well, I'm none the wiser. And it's because I don't until we've worked with you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what to do. I could say, do this, and it might not work. And then you're going to think, oh, it doesn't work. That program doesn't work because he's told me to do something and it hasn't worked.
Yeah. But you know what, if you've got a load of women out there that have got the character that I've got, the minute you sit there and you're saying you need to go and do this and do that, I'm going to be sticking two fingers up saying, who does he think he is telling me what to do? Because that's that's kind of how we work, isn't it? So it is really difficult. I think I've developed my own way of eating, and you're not lying when you say we can we don't have to give up wine, we don't have to give up chocolate. You know, I still eat out, you know, and you know, your tagline on the post today was eating cake for breakfast on my birthday. And do you know what? Yeah, I would have, that's nothing unusual. I have to admit, that is nothing unusual. But what was different this year was I coped so differently with it. You know, the mindset was, it's just a piece of cake. It's your birthday. You are allowed a piece of cake on your birthday. It was a piece of cake that I'd chose, which I had made for me. I paid a baker to make me the cake I wanted. I didn't go to Tesco's and scan the shelves and think, what is the lowest calorie option? Which one's going to be as on plan as possible? Sitting there eating something that's like a piece of cardboard with a bit of icing on it because I'm trying to be good. I had a bespoke made carrot cake with cream cheese frosting on it because that's what I wanted.
That's good. So with that then, that's probably a good kind of place to, in fact, before I go on, I'd love to know, the women watch, there's nearly 20 women watching. If you would love to be able to have cake for breakfast guilt-free, just comment cake in the comments below. So I think going from there then, it's probably a good time to say, what has changed for you? Like what kind of results have you seen? And that, like, doesn't just have to be kind of the numbers, like what for you has changed?
Lots of things. Not just the numbers, you're right. I mean, initially they were important because I think that's what gave me the motivation to keep going. And it was really hard because my relationship with the actual scales has changed, because it was very much whichever program I've done before, that's been your only real measure of how well you're doing. It doesn't matter how hard you've worked, you know, how many things you've deprived yourself of. If you get on those scales and that doesn't show, it's like you know you've committed a crime because your weight's gone up by 2 pounds. But you know, it was never explained to me before that maybe because I'd eaten a plate full of pasta the night before, I'd you know, that was still in my system and I'd retained a bit of water. So actually it was just the 2 pounds worth of fluid with the pasta. It wasn't anything else other than that, you know. So that's changed. You know, I'm not obsessive about the scales now. I was when we first started, 2 or 3 times a week I was off and on, but I think I needed to do that to get that out my system to double check that this worked. Now, I will be perfectly honest with you, I haven't been on the scales for the last 4 weeks because life has just taken over. So that's not important. I know my clothes still fit. I know that, you know, and they're not all the Lycra were ones that they were before that you kid yourself still fit, because they just stretch beyond belief. My fitted clothes still fit, so I know I don't need to do that. Measurements, I'd never taken measurements before in my life, and did those, and I can remember when we did the challenge inboxing you with my weight and my challenge, because I couldn't put it on the page. As much as I tried, I couldn't put it on the page, so I inboxed it to you because I thought I owe it to you to be honest, so let's send it to you and see where we go. So yeah, Katie's going to be laughing now because I'm sure she's probably told all of you, like, I took my measurements at the beginning, looked a little bit like a heart trace because they were up and down, up and down, up and down, because I just couldn't get the hang of measuring myself. And there was one incident where I actually swore very badly at my tape measure and threw it across the room and had quite a rant and quite a hissy fit because the measurements were going up because I just couldn't do it. But once I got my head round it and managed to find a few moles on my body and marks where I did them, actually they've consistently come down, which is fabulous. What else has changed? Oh God, I sleep now. I would regularly have, I mean, I wear a Fitbit. I know they're not 100% accurate, but I would regularly have 2 or 3 nights a week where the Fitbit would register that I was that restless, that I wasn't sleeping. And I know I was awake. I know, you know, I know that going to sleep was never a problem, but staying asleep was always an issue. Now, I don't know if any of you guys do Fitbits, but I regularly get a sleep score of between 75 and 85. And I think since I've been on the ARC program, I've had 2 nights where I've not had a registered sleep from being restless. So, you know, that's a huge achievement in itself. I've got a lot more mobile now. I was not very mobile before. I was very conscious of my back, and that's changed. You know, I even a few weeks ago, I actually took myself off into town by myself to meet a friend, and the anxiety around that was huge, because it's that constant, what if your back goes, what if you can't do this? But I did it. Off I went, and I met my friend for lunch, and came back home again. So it wasn't as bad as I thought, and that's huge as well. I've not done stuff like that for a long time. So and that's just through the talk and the coaching that you guys have provided. It's made me realise I can do these things, and I will do these things. So my mind is calm. I was one of these people that would get up thinking about food. You know, the minute I'd wake up, it's right, okay, today's going to be a good day. You're going to have good food today. There's going to be no bad food. You need to be healthy today. And then it would be, oh yeah, but you've got that brioche in the kitchen that you need to finish. No, you can't have that for breakfast because that's unhealthy. That's naughty. Don't start the day with something naughty. And it would be, I'd be having this conversation in my head constantly, and I'd come downstairs and I'd eat the brioche, and then it would be, I would be beating myself up that you've already started the day on a crap tone because you've had the brioche. So now you need to really be good. And then, and that's how it would continue all day. My mind would be racing about, what am I going to eat next? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it healthy? Is it this? How many sins? What's this? What's that? Is it free food? Is it not? Is it, and I don't have that now. My mind is calm now. I don't worry about food now. I can remember you suggested to me when I first started, one way of cutting your calorie intake down was to look at 2 meals a day. Oh, because I was going on holiday, wasn't I? That's right. I should add that in. When I first started, my first 2 weeks, I was on holiday. And I said, I really don't want to lose the weight. I don't want to put on more weight than I've already lost on the challenge. And so you gave me a few tips. And one was to maybe look at just 2 meals. So maybe like breakfast and lunch, or lunch and dinner. And I remember reading that and saying to my other half, he's having a laugh. 2 meals a day? No, 3 meals and 3 snacks is me, not 2 meals a day. And now I will regularly only have 2 meals a day, because that's all I need, all I want. I'm not obsessing about food. It comes along when it comes along. I eat when I'm hungry. I'm no longer obsessing. My mind is calm. So, and that's, if there is anybody else out there that is constantly worrying about food, I can't say how magnificent it is not to have that worry anymore, not to have that stress in my head constantly. It's huge, absolutely huge for me.
I just should probably add to that, Lorraine, just for people watching. So in terms of Lorraine having like 2 meals a day, this is not part of the plan. It works for Lorraine. So if you're watching and you're thinking, oh, I have to only have 2 meals a day. No, like we have clients that have 5 meals a day. We have clients that have 3 meals a day. And this hopefully would dispel a myth, actually. One, that you don't have to eat regular times throughout the day. There is no, I can't eat late at night. I can't eat, I have to have breakfast. There's none of that. If you like breakfast, have breakfast. If you don't like breakfast, or you're busy or whatever, you're not hungry, don't eat it. If you prefer eating late at night, eat late at night. Like, it really, really doesn't matter. So obviously Lorraine, like she said, has 2 meals a day. How much have you lost now, Lorraine?
We're just coming up for 4 stone. So yeah, we're not far off that now.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't realize. So actually it's more like 50 something pounds.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So see, Lorraine's like, because it works with her and her lifestyle, she's only having 2 meals a day. There are clients that have more, like there's no set, you must have this many meals, you must eat at this time. So how do you feel now, Lorraine?
Oh God, that's really hard to describe. I just think so much is different now. I think just the calm in my head is huge, and I don't think that's, and unless you've lived with that, I don't think you could ever grasp how huge that is, really. Just to walk into the kitchen and not be thinking, to walk into the kitchen and think it's okay to be in here. It's not that constant battle is fabulous. And I love the fact that I'm more mobile again now. I was very worried that it gave me, having that back injury gave me a taster of actually this is how I could end up and this is how I could be permanently. And that was a bit of a sort of culture shock, really, that actually to be reliant on someone to for want of a better phrase, help you pull your knickers up and down, you know, that you can't do that yourself. You know, as someone in mid 40s, it was like, no, I can't be doing that. You know, I'm, you know, if I was 85, that's a bit different. I'd accept that I might need a hand, but I'm not there yet. And so, you know, that I'm just thrilled that that's coming back. And I just, yeah, I just feel full of it. Full of what? I don't know, but just relaxed and calm and more at ease with myself, and yeah, just more me. I think more the person that I want to be and doing the things I want to do. So
love it. So obviously you said that you've done lots of stuff in the past, and you've lost, like, losing weight has never been a problem. Like, you've lost weight over and over and over. It's being able to be consistent and keep it off. Do you now feel confident that that's a thing of the past? And if so, why?
I think I do, yes, and simply because for the last sort of 5 weeks we had before my birthday, there was sort of quite a big lifestyle shift for us here. You know, lots of things have happened which they're quite personal, so I'm not going to go into those. But it kind of meant whereas I had been the methods I'd been using had to change slightly, and I was no longer reliant on the MyFitnessPal app, which I'd become quite reliant on, because doing Slimming World, I had absolutely no idea what a portion size was. I'll be quite honest, because they tell you, you know, if you're hungry, you know, chicken is free food. If you want to eat 3 chickens a day, you can eat 3 chickens a day. Don't tell me I can eat 3 chickens a day, because I bloody well will. And you know, so I needed to know what portion sizes were. So by weighing things and measuring things, that's how I started to realise what a portion of chicken looked like and what a portion of potatoes looked like. And I can, you know, look at a chicken breast now and I've got a rough idea how many calories are in it. So I've got a rough idea of what I'm eating, whereas I didn't have a clue about that kind of thing before. In the last 4 weeks, I haven't used MyFitnessPal. I haven't felt the need to, because I've learned those skills, that I know what I need to put on my plate. I know how much roughly, as looking at that meal, I can look at it and I know how to work out roughly what those calories are. And I know roughly what my deficit is and what I need to stick to. So that's how I know that I can sustain this. And I know there have been times where I have chosen to go up to my maintenance calories, like when I've been on holiday.
And we'll talk about this. So essentially, she understands that it's about like calories in, calories out. She understands all of that. She's done all that stuff. But because, like, you talked about the emotional side of eating, you talked about like some of this disordered eating and stuff like that. Well, obviously, this lady speaking to today, like, she'd lost weight before because she understood all the stuff that you understand now, but she didn't understand how to manage her emotional eating. And she still hasn't learned to live. So she can't lose unless she's tracking her food. And, you know, when I asked her the question, I was like, okay, could you like lose the weight without tracking? And she was like, no. So I was like, are you going to track them for the rest of your life? And she was like, no. So already there's a problem there. And I think that's really, really important. So yes, like, losing weight is as simple as consuming less calories than you need. But hopefully listening to you speak, Lorraine, tonight, I think people are understanding there's a bit more to it. Like, because MyFitnessPal or those kind of tracking apps, one, are you going to do it forever? If you're not, then you're going to have a problem. And the second thing is, MyFitnessPal, it doesn't tell you how to manage stress. It doesn't tell you how to manage your emotional eating. It doesn't tell you how to manage life. So it can be useful, but it's probably for most people not the answer. I don't like. What do you think about that, Lorraine?
I agree. I think for me, for my circumstances, it was vital essentially to start with, because like I say, I didn't have a clue what a portion size was. You know, I wouldn't have known. You know, you could have put 2 chicken breasts in front of me and I wouldn't have had a clue how many calories was in either one. You know, my head was still telling me it's Slimming World, it's free food, you can eat both, so go for it. So I needed to learn what portion sizes were, and that's what MyFitnessPal gets you doing. It gets you weighing things, so you start to appreciate how much you've got and how many calories is in that. And you know, And so for me, it was essential to start with. And probably up until 6 weeks ago, I would have said that, moving away from that would have been quite a scary thing. And I'll be perfectly honest, it wasn't necessarily a choice to move away from that. It was just things happened that I suddenly thought, God, you haven't tracked anything today. And then I thought, actually, you haven't tracked anything because you didn't need to track anything. So it was kind of an active, okay. And I'll be honest, I still go on there sometimes to check the calories of things if we've got something different in the fridge, or that I maybe don't have that often, so I need to check, because in my head I don't want to get it wrong, so I will check it and think, yeah, I know roughly what that is now. But it's certainly not, whereas before I wouldn't eat anything unless I'd inputted it into the app first. If it wasn't on the app, it didn't go past my lips, which was kind of how I lived initially. Now, yeah, I haven't logged anything for a good 4 weeks.
That's awesome. I love that. That's brilliant, Lorraine. Okay, so we're gonna finish up soon. But before we finish up, obviously, if people are watching, if they have any questions, so if you have any questions for Lorraine, myself, please drop them below. There's loads of comments, especially from Heidi and Katie. I think they've done quite a few comments.
I can imagine. I'll go and have a look later.
If you have questions, drop them below. I'm just going to ask you one more question, Lorraine. So for me, well, it's not really a question. It's kind of, what would be like the one top tip that's really helped you that you would say to anyone watching, like, this has really helped me? It might be something might be helpful for you. What would be your one thing?
Oh, do you know what? I think for all those people out there that are debating, I think you need to trust the process and spend the money and put yourself forward, for yourself first, and go for it. I can remember when we had our discussion, and I couldn't admit to you that I wanted to lose weight. I can remember saying to you this was about getting healthier and stronger and fitter, because I'd tried so many diets and failed in the past. I didn't want to admit that's what I wanted to do, because I thought I was setting myself up to fail. And I took that chance and I prioritized myself and I put myself first. And I think as women, we're very, very good at kind of prioritizing everybody else. Yeah, I did exactly it yesterday. Chris said he needed new running shoes, so I found the money for 2 pairs, not just one, for 2 pairs. Which, when I think about that, that's half the money that I paid to come and join and do this. But I did it without the blink of an eye. So actually, we as women, we do that all the time, and so actually take the chance and invest in yourself, because nobody's going to do it for you. So just take that, to trust in the process, because it works. It really does work. I can't stress that enough. And then take the opportunity to take the time to read everything on the page. There's loads of it. I still find stuff now that I think, oh, I missed that before. How did I not see that? But there is so much information there that, you can just be flooded with it. And I think it's important to educate yourself. You guys are there to help us, to help educate us, and take the chance and do it. You don't get a second chance at this life, do you?
I love that. Thanks, Lorraine. I'm just seeing if there's any questions. So I'll read through the comments while we wait and see if there's any questions come through. There's actually quite a few comments. So obviously read ones at the start. Quite a lot of members on. So Tracy, she said, I was doing Slim and Well in lockdown. She lost 7 pounds in 14 weeks, and she's lost 26 pounds in 13 weeks with ARC. She said it's the
Fabulous.
Support, learning about my body, getting to know myself, and restriction being a big part of why I couldn't keep the weight off before.
Definitely.
Heidi's saying, shout out to Katie and her water chats. Heidi is loving you tonight. There's loads of love from Heidi. Loads of people saying they want cake or cheese and wine for breakfast. Debbie saying mindset was a huge thing for her as well.
Yeah.
Someone else sharing the measuring troubles. Heidi saying she's proud of you. Cara saying you're awesome. Is Cara one of your friends, Cara Pedersen?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, she's done a few comments as well. Tracy said 4 stone, amazing. Alison said it's brilliant to see you so happy. Loads of really positive comments. Like Lorraine said, you're so inspiring.
Thank Thank
Loads of
you.
people saying well done. Loads of love for you tonight, Lorraine. Let's see if there is any questions. Can't see any at the moment. Okay, no questions. So if anyone does have questions, if they're watching this on replay, drop them in. I'll probably see them and get back to you. Feel free to private message me as well. Lorraine's obviously one of our moderators, so you'll see her active in the group, especially at the weekends. She loves a post at the weekends.
I love a social Saturday.
Yeah.
Got to get people talking.
Is there anything else you wanted to add before we finish up, Lorraine?
I don't think so. I've obviously talked for England if there's no questions. So, but no.
You've been awesome. You've been brilliant. Thank you. So
Thank you for the opportunity.
I genuinely really appreciate your time, Lorraine, and sharing kind of your experiences as well. Like, as you can see, some of the women saying it's a real inspiration. So that's effectively what this is all about. So thank you so much. And thank you to all the women that have watched tonight. So there was about 20 of you on live, which is brilliant. I know that there'll be hundreds of women that will watch this on the replay. And I'll get loads of comments tomorrow probably that I'll have to chase up with and send the link to. So thank you everyone that has watched, commented, liked, love-hearted the video. Really do appreciate you turning up on your time on a Monday evening. And I hope to see you all next week. So thanks again, Lorraine. And I'm going to shut this off. By the way, I've figured out how to keep us chatting so it doesn't just shut you out of the room. So bye everyone. See you.